Please don't forget to like and subscribe to help the channel.
Meve had come home, though by a circuitous route, through Edern's smoking embers, Angren's beast-infested quagmires, cross Mahakam's snow-capped ridges. But she had returned, cloaked in legend, a mighty army in tow. The moment was weighty and not to be tainted even by Geralt of Rivia's disappearance, or dare we say desertion. The hero of the battle for the bridge was now a sought man. Yet Meve was determined to take back her realm, with or without the Witcher's aid. Valyrian's daring escapade behind enemy lines, and the triumphant victory at the battle for the bridge that crowned it, breathed new life into the North's war effort. Bands of resistance fighters now swarmed the conquered lands, while Cedwyn and Redania, on the verge of swearing fealty to the Emperor, suddenly broke off talks with the invader. The Nilfgaardian war machine suddenly screeched to a halt, and the tide of war turned. Facing a united north, the invader had to withdraw the bulk of its forces from Lyria and Rivia. The way was cleared for Meve to retake her lost lands, defeat General Epdahi, and depose Willem. Or perhaps mother and son would not have to fight after all.
Milady, I come at King Willem's bidding.
Prince Willems.
His Majesty proposes a meeting. No arms, no escorts.
His Majesty? Whelp's barely tall enough to reach his mother's bosom. For shame!
Silence. Let him say his piece.
His Majesty, Willem I, wishes to discuss the possibility of a truce.
He wishes to surrender. Is that his aim?
Your words, not mine, Your Grace.
I've a few more on the tip of my tongue. But save them I shall for later.
Willem I's chosen the site for the parley in...
Willem I will choose nought. If he wishes to speak, let him meet me midst the ruins of Devil's Tower.
Understood, Your Grace. I'll relay your terms.
Willem's emissary rode off, serenaded by hisses and jeers. Frightened by the clamor, his horse reared and kicked. The rider forced his mount to obey with cracks of his crop, striking many more times than was necessary.
The fool. Nag'll toss him off first chance it gets. Soon as he loosens the reins.
No great loss, I wager. But tell me, your thoughts on this reunion?
Sounds a ruse to me. But I know that won't stop you.
Whence this certainty?
Come now, Meve. At the end of it all, he's your son. You still care about him, it's obvious.
Yes, I care dearly, Gascon. I care to capture him and try him for treason.
Meve, the boy was manipulated.
It took no great push. Let's go. They await us.
Meve rode out clad in golden plate, her banners waving proudly overhead. She no longer led a band of ragtag partisans, but an army able to fend off an empire and drive its soldiers from her lands.
Ma'am, I've something you must see without undue delay.
The Queen had chosen to meet Willem at Devil's Tower, and not without
No escorts were your terms.
began Gascon, with a hint of mischief.
But better safe than sorry, I always say.
What are you...
Willem arrived soon after, the heavily armored cavalry he had in tow clearly there to boost his courage. He left them at the foot of the bridge and... Willem and the mother who'd borne him stood face to face. They gazed into each other's eyes, waiting to see who would look away first. When neither did, Meve broke the silence.
Time flies, and I've a kingdom to liberate. No need to drag this out. What's this about? Tell me.
I thought my messenger already did.
Oh, he did. And how? Willem I wishes to arrange a truce. Only, Willem I is in no position to parley on an equal footing. Willem I can, at most, offer his unconditional surrender, because Willem I's losing this war.
Yes, Mother, I am. And I see that by losing I've at last made you content.
Don't play the victim. What next? Will you say you turned cloak because Mummy showed no warmth, displayed no feelings?
'Twould be unfair, any such judgment. You did show feelings, chiefly enmity, contempt. But that's not why I betrayed you. No, I simply disagreed with your choices, assessments.
I had every right to do what I considered just and good.
And I had every right to voice my view, which you ever ignored. Yet this is neither the time nor the place to discuss that. Let us parley as strangers. I'm losing, you say. And you're right. But I haven't lost yet, and have no intention to surrender. I am ready, however, to renounce my fealty to the Empire and pledge my forces to you. As long as you fulfill my conditions.
Let me hear them.
First, you will not rescind the reforms I've authorized already, any of them. Second, you will guarantee both my safety and that of my advisors. Third, I shall remain your heir, and next in line for the throne.
Impudent child. Insolent beyond all measure.
Well, I had to try. Goodbye, Mother. And may you...
Hold. I didn't say I reject them.
It's come my turn to listen.
You're impertinent, Willem. As you should be. Any future king must be certain of himself and his judgments. Rely on none but himself.
Thank you. I never suspected...
I'm not done. Time now you heard my conditions. You shall remove crown and royal cloak. You shall labor from dawn till dusk. And you shall fight at the fore in every battle. Is that clear?
Yes. Yes, Your Majesty.
It's settled then. Now the road beckons.
Willem bowed, turned, and walked away. Maeve followed, still angry, though she could not stifle a smile. Soon thereafter, Maeve's army set out towards Rivia Castle. It would not be long now before the decisive battle. Maeve's force reached Cavaldon.
Scavaldon can be taken,
Began Reynard hesitantly.
but not without losses. Considerable losses.
A retreat. Our losses may be heavy.
Said Maeve, drawing her sword.
I won't leave a single city to these invader scum! Valyria!
My...
Watch your heads!
I live to serve you.
Ha!
Wise choice.
We must bring down...
Catch!
Left, right, left, right.
In retreat!
Sorry, turnips back for an encore.
What's a helmet if not a pot turned over? Life is mine now.
Eat more, you dirty tart.
Ha!
That was not in the spellbooks. I smell a leak.
Yes.
Dramacool, a bit of soldering, a rivet or two, and it's good as new.
A highly curious case.
A knight should help. Our codex commands it.
Egreto dum anime est, spes est.
Erigua!
We did it, Your Grace. The city is ours.
The Nilfgaardians had indeed prepared well, with grapples to repel hook ladders from dozens of burghers stood before the tent. Between them and the Queen, a man knelt in shackles. His fate, Meve gripped the beaten man's beard, tugged upwards, and looked him in the eye.
Show him mercy, milady!
Cried a withered old man in a flour-spattered apron.
When the black-clad bastards captured my son, they were
The townsfolk began shouting over one another. Some told of the blacksmith's noble deeds, others
This man forged arms for the Nilfgaardians. 'Tis true.
said Meve to the crowd.
Yet you, Baker, baked the bread they ate.
Upon hearing the verdict, the Queen's troops stared in disbelief, then began to boil. As she walked back calmly to the tent,
If it weren't for you, Your Grace, they'd have torn me to bits with their bare hands.
he said, kneeling before her.
I thank you for speaking up for me.
The castle of Rivia now loomed before the Lyrians. Water surrounded it on three sides, and foreign banners waved upon the walls. The Golden Sun and General Epdar,
Your Majesty,
began Reynard in a reassuring tone.
we needn't strike quickly. We've time on our side. To prepare would...
These invaders have grown fond of Rivia Castle,
Said Meve.
so let them stay and rot. Reynard,
Then, an emissary from the castle brought a message for the Queen. General Epdahi wished to meet. Face to face, Meve proceeded to the meeting point without delay. A lone rider soon appeared.
You came as I requested. Good. Very good.
I couldn't possibly refuse such a courteous invitation, especially as compared to your previous missive. The art of diplomacy, you've improved your grasp.
But I could say the same of you. I was surprised, no, impressed, that you didn't have my messenger flogged, then beheaded. But please, we must set aside this bitterness. I'd like to formally welcome you to Rivia, dear Queen.
I see you've readily adopted the role of gracious host in my home.
In point of fact, I've grown fond of the castle. Fortifications impressive, atypical of the north. Not so your brave soldiers, whom we shall pick off like ducks. I pity them, in fact.
Dry your eyes, General. Rest easy. I've no plans for a quick assault. I shall first wait to hear the rumbling in your bellies.
Remarkable. You truly believe you can win this war? I've not been in the North long, but have discovered something all the same. You don't grasp complex ideas. You know Nilfgaard is large, but your minds don't fathom its enormity. You see, for every army you defeat, another will come to take its place. One larger and better equipped than the one before. Even now, as we so pleasantly chat, Army Group East is en route to lift your siege. Due to arrive tomorrow. And do you know what will happen when they do? They will crush you against your own castle's walls, like the maddening flea you are.
A charming analogy, but get to the point. Why'd you ask for this meeting?
For this very reason. I wish to see you with my own eyes.
They did not see enough in Edirn? Are you such an admirer of feminine beauty?
You flatter yourself. No, in you, I see an animal. Game. Prey. And as the hunt's due to start soon, I needed a more detailed image of the beast I'll be looking for.
You? On a hunt? Those delicate hands have never held spear or bow. Nout sharper than a letter opener, I wager. Tomorrow you will not be on a hunt. Tomorrow you will be at war. You best pray to all your gods you don't find me.
Without awaiting a response from General Dahi, Meve pivoted and turned toward camp. Her pace was quick, despite a heavy heart. Meve's closest advisors already awaited her in the command tent. In a few brief words, the Queen gave a report of the meeting, only with great effort masking the quavering in her voice.
An army, an immense one, approaches from the west. If we meet in open battle, we stand not a chance.
Damn it! Why did no one warn me?
Our scouts were discovered, captured. It must be that.
Yes, it didn't seem right. Our way so clear, so untroubled.
We must flee? Not at all heroic, I admit, but sure as hell better than being trampled into the dirt.
Easily said, but for a problem. Our force is chiefly infantry. The army that draws near includes cavalry, several regiments.
What do you advise?
We've two options. Capitulate.
Out of the question.
Or take the castle. Tonight.
Reynard, you know me. First into the fire, and ever eager to draw Imperial blood. But that would be madness. The castle can't be taken by conventional assault, if at all. And to have but 8 hours in which to do it? No.
Rivia's walls are unassailable, I fully agree. But there's more than one way to take any fort, and this fort too.
I think I like where this is going.
I know this citadel like no one else. I know its one potential weakness. The boat landing.
Wait. That narrowest of piers between the two turrets? The one where the fishermen would land?
The same. As I'm sure you recall, Your Grace, at that narrow pier's end stands a narrow door leading straight into the fortress. A small detachment could approach unnoticed, overwhelm any sentries, and get inside.
What then?
They would need to pass through the fort to the winch in the guardhouse. Open the gate for the rest of the force.
That is suicide.
Perhaps. But as options go, we have it alone.
And I'm to choose to send folk there. Most certainly to die.
You needn't choose anyone, for I volunteer. And will take only those willing to do the very same.
Bloody wretched plan.
And you've a better one, do you?
Of course. I'll go instead.
Beg your pardon? I don't.
Face it, Reynard, you couldn't sneak past a corpse. Sound like a bloody tambourine in that armour. Apart from which, you're Meve's right hand. So you ought to be by her side when the fighting starts.
Firstly, Reynard, I'm grateful. Well done, my friend.
Thank you, Your Grace.
But truth be told, I did indeed hear you walking to the tent from the other side of camp. And yes, you know Rivia Castle better than anyone else, but the assault must transpire silently. Gascon will lead the force.
Understood, Your Grace.
Cheers, Meve. I'll try not to disappoint.
You won't, I'm sure. God speed you on your way, and please, try your damnedest not to die.
Gascon hand-picked his men. those most adept with daggers, not swords. Noiselessly, they glided through the dark toward the castle. Meve watched anxiously as the boats glided away, her heart pounding in her ears.
Nothing personal, I assure you. Knock 'em off the wall! Let's teach 'em to fly! Yeah! You see to the winch! We'll hold them off! This must be it! Grab the winch! Open the gate!
The Lyrians prepared for battle, their silence absolute, in darkness, illuminated only by the pale light of them. Finally, a torch's faint glow appeared atop the towering walls. It disappeared, then glowed again. Moments later, Lyrians in the hundreds burst from the trees. Then they heard chains, grinding and clinking, and the sound sent Meve had begun the day known as a great warrior. Yet by night's end, legend was the cloak she wore. What was this extraordinary vigor that surged through? As she stepped through the door into the tower, the silence told Meve she'd arrived too late.
Help's on the way. Don't you even think of dying.
You know...
wheezed Gascon, a slight smirk on his lips.
I always enjoyed doing things just to spite you.
Medics on the stairs in the Queen rose, her fists clenched, her shoulders rigid, her knuckles white. Her face... The Lyrians were at the brink, near their breaking point. They'd followed me for thousands of miles,